purposefully Satan. This is a deep rabbit hole I've been going down, and I just find so many similarities between Santa and Satan. Just look at the way the word is, for starters. There's just a couple of letters difference. Since I had my awakening experience in 2016, I just started to distance myself from a lot of these traditions that we just kind of do. We just blindly follow. And Christmas, now I'm a dad, I've got a 2-year-old daughter. There's just so much darkness to it. So I'm going to share with you in this video some of the things that might be uncomfortable for you to hear, but I think we are the people who are here to shine the light on the shadows. We're the ones who can help the children, and the more we speak up, the more we use our voice, we use our power, we be brave and courageous, we can make the world a better place for the next generations. So firstly, Santa is one of the big lies that parents tell their children. It makes liars out of loving parents. If you to think about who would benefit from that, from children not being able to trust their parents. I was just speaking with my wife about this last night. That moment where you realize your parents have lied to you your whole life. And Santa is so closely linked to God or Jesus, right? It's like this mystical being. They say he sees you when you're sleeping, he knows when you're awake, he knows if you've been good or bad. It's like there's so many things, right? And then you find out, boom, he's not real. Your parents lied to you. What is the impact of that on Santa? And then what is the impact of that on God, on your belief in this higher power or whatever it is that you believe in? Straight away, we're starting to plant these seeds of mistrust in our society. And if you believe that's by coincidence, cool. If you believe it's by design, like I do, why do they let this holiday continue in the way that it does? Let's go into it. Santa, or if we call him Satan, if we just put that hat on for now, we used to literally leave him offerings, food and drink, welcoming into our house this demonic entity to watch us while we were asleep. He would come into our bedroom, he would empty his sack on our bed, and we would be so excited we could not wait for him to come into our home. This being that can see you all the time, I used to get so upset because I wanted to be good, I wanted to get the presents, and like this fear and anxiety that's created around it. And I'm sure some people do Christmas in a loving way, in a really pure way, in a very beautiful way, but that's just not how I see it for most people. Once your eyes are open, it's like Santa in Latin means holy. That's what it means. But think about Christmas now as it is, all of the consumerism, the materialism, excessive drinking, excessive eating, alcohol, all of the things that have come into it. It's like it's very, very far from holy. And that's not even talking about the satanic, demonic stuff yet. Santa's a really interesting thing. So Saint Nicholas, from like 300 AD or something, this saint who was supposedly involved a lot with children. Around the 1930s, Coca-Cola hijacked Santa. They turned him red. He didn't used to be red before. They made him red. They made him a part of their brand, and then Coca-Cola took over Christmas. That Coca-Cola wagon that drives through, talking all about you have to have Coca-Cola at your meals, full of sugar, poison, addictive. This is what Christmas becomes about, right? It's a lot about gluttony. And you see how this is like a real inversion of something that used to be a beautiful holiday. So it's around the time of the winter solstice. It's the changing of the seasons. There's a lot of magic there. People used to, work with the seasons. They used to think that was something important to do. We call it Christmas. We make it pretend it's about Christ, but there's nothing about this in the Bible. Like, this doesn't exist in the Bible. This is not a thing. It's something that was made and agreed upon for some very shady reasons. So Coca-Cola is one of the most evil companies on the planet. Literally causes cancer, disease, childhood obesity is at an all-time high. Coca-Cola has a huge thing to talk responsibility around that. Produces so much plastic, is destroying the planet, and that is who created this Santa Claus as we know him now. If you lie to your children and you tell them they have to behave in order to get your love, in order to get your presents, and this is Christmas presents, right? They have to be good. If they're not good, they don't get your presents at Christmas. That is the opposite of unconditional, pure love. That is conditional love. That is making people bend to your will so that they can get your affection. Is that really pure and beautiful? Is that the path to purity? Is that the best we can do? That's not what I want to teach my daughter anyway. Children's subconscious minds are so programmable. If you literally make them scared that this person, this being, this entity is watching them, and if they don't act in a certain way according to your rules, they will be punished. Like, that is terror, right? I used to cry, like really cry. And it was used as a threat. And this isn't anything about my parents. I've seen other people do this too. It's used as a threat. Oh, if you're not good, you're not going to get any presents. It's fascinating, isn't it? So let's talk about the more demonic, satanic, like provable stuff. So Santa, or Satan, whichever you want to call him, he partnered up with different demons, different murderers, and even child abusers in different cultures. So one of them that you might have heard of is called the Krampus. So the Krampus is depicted as being this horned demon. And Krampus would literally steal children in a sack and then beat them with sticks. Go look that up. Krampus, Krampus. That is legit. That was Santa's business partner. Another partner that he had is called Père Fouettard. I don't know if that's pronounced right, but basically he was a murderer. You just go look this up. Père means father, and Fouettard means whipping father. So he murdered children, then became Santa's helper, and he would beat naughty children with sticks. Literal child abuse. That was Santa's other partner. And then another one you might have heard of, it's called Black Peter. So in Dutch countries, Black Peter would carry children off in a sack and he would beat them with a broomstick. So whenever you tell the story of Santa, that is all implied in there. Have you ever researched this stuff? Like, really, not to make you feel bad, not to say anything about you. Like, we just blindly follow stuff, don't we? Go and look this up. Go and really look this up. If we then go a little bit deeper, so there have been books written about Santa versus Satan, and this is talked a lot about in Christianity. A lot of like true Christian people, they don't celebrate Christmas because it's nothing about the birth of Christ. It's nothing about Jesus or Yeshua or whatever you like to call them. It is a purely satanic holiday designed on purpose to create these situations. And so there's a book by Jeffrey Burton Russell. It's called The Prince of Darkness. It's from 1988. And he explains this about Santa versus Satan. So I'll just read the quote. It says, "The devil comes from the north, the domain of darkness and punishing cold. Curious connections exist between Satan and Santa Claus, St. Nicholas. The devil lives in the far north and drives reindeer. He wears a suit of red fur. He goes down chimneys in the guise of Black Jack or the black man covered in soot. As Black Peter, he carries a large sack into which he pops sins or sinners, including naughty children. He carries a stick or a cane to thrash the guilty. Now he brings candy canes. He flies through the air with the help of these strange animals. Food and wine are left out as offerings for him to bribe and secure his favors." So Satan's nickname is Old Nick. It derives directly from Saint Nick. Saint Nicholas was often associated in different cults, so people gave him fruit and fruitcakes. Saint Nicholas is a really interesting thing to dive into. I found a lot of the people in his story, history, it's all twisted. If you look at Mother Teresa, people say she's the best person ever. Twisted. Go and research Mother Teresa, you'll be shocked, right? So who was Saint Nicholas really? Why did they choose him as this patron saint of children? Was he actually helping children, or was there something darker to it? That's a whole rabbit hole for you to go into. So let's talk about some other stuff. Gifting is a beautiful thing. I love gifting. I love giving thoughtful gifts, meaningful gifts. Um, it's inverted at Christmas, isn't it? In most of the Western world, it's all about materialism, hedonism, wastage, ungratefulness, puts families into debt from these like societal expectations. We used to get massive amounts of presents, and I see people posting on social media all the time. People would literally put it on their credit cards. They would get these cards out from catalogs, especially the poorer people. They would get into debt with catalog companies and then spend all year paying it back because they needed a room filled with presents because they weren't giving the kid presents. It's an interesting thing to think about, isn't it? So these gifts, a lot of them, what are they? They're like cheap plastic toys that get thrown away really quickly. If I got 50 presents as a kid, I maybe cared about 2 or 3. The others were just discarded. It was almost pointless. So much wastage. But this is consumerism, right? They want you to buy all of this crap and they bombard kids with these adverts. I have a 2-year-old. We sometimes watch videos on YouTube. She gets these ads come through for all these toys, and then she wants the toys. So then I had to buy YouTube Premium. So then there's no ads. But it's a trap. How many kids are just being bombarded in their subconscious? I need that toy. I need that dollhouse. I need that whatever it is. Think about it. We've been so, and they're so susceptible, these kids. It's crazy. And then they put all the pressure on the parents. Parents feel bad if they don't do it. Oh, but Billy got this and Bobby got that and Jenny got that, but I didn't. Crazy. So there's a different style called conscious parenting, and it's about just getting 4 gifts for your kid. 4 gifts. That's it. And the kids appreciate the gifts. And isn't that like so much more meaningful to get 4 gifts that you actually care about instead of all these random things? An invitation for everybody. If we want to create a sustainable planet, we have to stop consuming so much crap. That's the food we consume, this greed and gluttony. Christmas is this time where families come together and they overeat and they poison themselves. Children get chocolate and sweets full of sugar and colorants and all of this crap, fizzy pop, and it makes them sick. But it also creates addictions. And this is the thing I find with my clients. A lot of them are so addicted to all of these things because they're anchored in. I'm a hypnotherapist. I also do NLP. So these things are anchored into these deep family memories. Maybe one of the only times in the year they get presents from their family members, right? And it's anchored into sugar and all of these other things. And so now they have those things because they're looking for that feeling. It's a deep, 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 deep rabbit hole. So how can we bring the sacredness back to this? How can we bring sacredness into what can be a wonderful time? The holiday season, time where families come together, you get bank holidays, you get more time to just be slow. You can make great food, make nutritious food, make food that actually fuels you. Give your children and your friends gifts that actually will help them to create stronger minds, stronger beings, to be physically strong, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. We haven't even talked about the spiritual side of everything yet. One of the things that was very apparent in Christmas in my upbringing was alcohol. A lot of people overdid it. They end up arguing, they end up fighting, and the children see it all. The children see these adults deep in addiction. They see all of these behaviors, and then they start to model those behaviors. So we're the guardians of these children's minds. I've been sober for 6 years now, since I had my awakening in 2016. Couldn't poison my body anymore. I didn't need to numb myself because I did a lot of healing, and I healed the traumas that I had that were making me numb myself with food and substances. And then I've been on this path of purity, of just dropping addictions. And I know it's challenging. I dropped my coffee addiction, my addiction to dairy, to meat. I don't have sugar. I was addicted to bread. There's so many different things that you can be addicted to. And Christmas just really intensifies all of that. Processed foods, they put so many additives in there to make you literally addicted. There's documentaries on sugar. You can go and see it lights up all the same addiction centers in your brain as crack. It is nuts. I do have a lot of wonderful memories from Christmas. And we can bring this in, this Christ energy, this Christ consciousness, whatever you call it, God, whatever the creator, whatever you think it is that made all of us, that creates the seasons, that brings these shifts that we can be so thankful for and appreciative of. We can bring that into it. The tree that we put in, the trees are crazy. Like, do you ever think about the trees? Like, why do we cut down tens of millions of trees every year and then discard them on the street a week later? Is that the relationship we want to teach our kids to have with nature? Our ancestors, they would go and they would put actual offerings on actual trees in the actual forest. And the trees represent our spine, our nervous system. And you put this star on the top to represent your enlightenment. And we can bring this sacredness back to it, but instead it's consumerism, isn't it? People want to plant loads of Christmas trees. They're going to harvest them. They're going to sell them. Like, what about the trees? Do we even think about that? Why do we bring all of these poisons and toxins into our home? Why do we show that to our kids? Can we just have smoothies, have healthy vegan foods? Can we have whole unprocessed foods? Can we give them like real unconditional love? Can we do that? Is that possible? What are the real gifts that you could bring to your kids this Christmas, this holiday period? I think we can do a lot better. I know we can do a lot better. I am doing a lot better. I'm really glad I'm on this path and I can see things so much more clearly. And there's a movie where they have these sunglasses, and when you put the sunglasses on, you can see all the deceptions in the world, and it kind of feels a bit like that. The more you meditate and the more you connect, it's my invitation to you. Meditate, pray, connect. Really think about the habits and the patterns that you're teaching your young people, because they're the habits and the patterns they will either carry on or they will rebel against. Either way, how are you going to be steering your children's lives? So I hope this was received in the loving and beautiful way it was intended. I hope you have a wonderful holiday period. I hope it's very nourishing for you. I hope you have beautiful connections with your friends and your family. I hope you deepen your connection with your spirit, with your soul, with whatever you want to call that, with Christ, with whoever or whatever you believe in. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm sending you so much love. And if you have any questions, please do let me know in the comments. Thank you.